So we are continuing our series this month and our theme of prosperous living for the year. Our series, of course, is Spring into Transformation and Prosperity. That's what we're talking about. And today we're talking about sharing your talents to transform. Sharing your talents to transform. And I want to start with a reading from the Science of Mind. And if you're familiar with the textbook itself, this is it. It's rather thick. This also has a concordance in it. But the first 4 books, he gives us the basics, the basic ideas of what he's teaching. And then the rest of it, the next 600 pages, tell us about applications, tell us about principles, tell us how to apply it in our lives and so forth. But then the nuts and bolts of it are in these first 4 books. And so this is the 3rd chapter, and it's what it does. It being this universal presence, this source, this essence, God, whatever it is you might call it, Ernest just calls it because in our finite mind it's difficult to describe the formless. We have a hard time with that. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. So he says we should approach the study of this science rationally, never expecting to derive any benefits from it that its principle does not contain. For while it is true that we are immersed in an infinite intelligence, a mind that knows all things, it is also true that this intelligence can acquaint us with its ideas only as we are able and willing to receive them. The divine mind is infinite. It contains all knowledge and wisdom, but before it can reveal its secrets, it must have an outlet. This outlet we shall be compelled to supply through our own receptive mentalities. Through our receptive mentalities. What he's basically saying is that Spirit is always broadcasting, to use his word, its infinite wisdom, its infinite intelligence, its infinite creativity to and through all of its creation. But we all receive that differently, don't we? Because we're all unique manifestations of that. If you remember when we were talking about the values work a couple of weeks ago, we talked about going to the stadium and having everything you can imagine in there and how each of us would be attracted to different things. And many of us might be attracted to art, but each one of those would be different. It might be photography, it might be pottery, it might be painting, it might be oils versus acrylics, it might be something else. But we would all be drawn to those specific things that we have some sort of a value to. That's part of our uniqueness in this manifestation that we are. So the Spirit acts through its creation. Then that would be us. We are the hands and feet of it. Spirit, think about love. Love is a feeling, isn't it? It's an emotion. We don't try to put it in a physical form. But haven't we tried to put God in a body? And many of us were taught that growing up, that it was a guy, male energy, and it was, maybe it had a beard, and sat on a throne, had pearly gates and St. Peter and all those stories, right? Many of us were taught those things. Not to say they're wrong, but just to say that's not what we teach in Science of Mind. We teach in Science of Mind that it is essence, presence, energy, and it is all that there is, and it surrounds us always. It is ever present to us, and it is ever available to us, and it expresses through us. It expresses through its creation. So our job is to filter and fine, if you will, all of these ideas, all of these possibilities in this field that we live in through choice. We have that beautiful gift of choice. We have that beautiful gift of imagination, creativity that we can use that from, our experiences and our perceptions, and then we can allow those to come into specific form in our lives. Now Holmes goes on to say, all invention, art, literature, government, law, and wisdom that has come to us has come through those who have deeply penetrated the secrets of nature and the mind of God. And if we think back over time, the people that we know about, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Jesus, Buddha, why do we know about these people? Because they had a message that has lasted, a truth that they were able to share that came through them, through that infinite intelligence. Others, such as Picasso, Abraham Lincoln, Tesla, whomever, that we know their messages because they allowed that divine creativity, that divine wisdom to express through them. They were given gifts at birth when they came forward, and they had the courage then to step in and share those. And that's why we know about them. They've impacted our society, they've impacted our growth, our expansion, and we still know who these people are. So each of us expresses life uniquely as we are. Thank goodness, right? Imagine how boring it would be if we were all the same. Whew, that wouldn't be any fun. And you've all got talents. You've all got gifts. You can't help but have them. You came in with them pre-wired. You have them. So if we all have these, why do we sometimes not express them? I think it comes down to courage. I think sometimes we have a fear about stepping out and expressing our gifts. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if it's not true? We ask those questions. We have that doubt. In Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes tells us, fear blocks the more complete givingness of the Spirit to its highest form of manifestation on this planet, which is humankind. Fear arises from the mental attitude which limits the possibilities and the willingness of Spirit to give us the good that we so greatly desire. There is nothing wrong in the desire for self-expression. Nothing wrong in the desire for self-expression. God is more completely expressed through the one who lives largely than through the one who lives meagerly. We're here to be that magnificence of Spirit in form, aren't we? We're here to be that. Spirit, again, is this essence idea of the unformed substance. And we are its form. We are the hands and feet expressing, growing, learning, experiencing it. And then staying in fear instead of playing full out in this wonderland that we live in. I mean, really, do we live in a wonderful place? Not just Scottsdale, Arizona, but this whole entire planet and the systems and the processes and the things that happen and seasons and the animals and the plants. I mean, it's an amazing place that we live in. It truly is Eden, is it not? Yeah. We try to mess it up, but we haven't yet completely. I remember an article several years ago about the benefits of taking risks. And it was a very interesting article because its basic premise was when we don't take risks, we stay in a rut. We stay in the rut of our life that we've created. There's no change, there's no growth, no expansion. And it said the benefits of taking risks include opening to new opportunities, opening up to new opportunities, gaining confidence, learning. Even if we fail when we take a risk, we learn. If we succeed, we learn, right? Pursuing new things. You can't achieve your dreams by playing it safe. And if you think about that logically, if you've got a dream for something that's not in your life right now, you can't achieve it unless something changes, right? Something's got to be different or you would already have that which you seek to experience in your life. Something's got to change. So that may require taking a little risk because any change can incur risk, can't it, at some level? Any change can incur risk. And of course, overcoming our fear assists us in our personal and spiritual growth. It makes anything that, what is it saying, that song? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Is that that's the words? It's actually from the Bible. Yeah. So it's true. Someone who never takes risks may think, I already know what's going to happen. It's not worth it. I already know. I know what happens when I put my finger in the light switch. I'm not going to do that. I know what happens. They already know. Or they may be afraid. I couldn't possibly do that. Oh my gosh, that's so scary. I couldn't possibly do that. So they never take that risk. They may not have the confidence. But again, we cannot change and get out of that risk, out of that rut, without taking a little bit of a risk every now and again. And if you remember what Ernest Holmes says in Living the Science of Mind that we've been using a little bit this year, as we've talked about our intentions and achieving our intentions that we set in January with the burning bowl and the big flame. He says in Science of Mind, Living Science of Mind, that we should no longer create our future out of the old past. Just recycling and recirculating the same old ideas, the same old thinking. Create from the newness. And of course, Marianne Williamson has that famous quote that applies to this, which is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. It's not our light, but our darkness, not our darkness, but our light that frightens us. We're born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. That's why we're here. It's why we're here. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. Every single person on this planet. But I don't think it matters if we're playing on a small stage or a large stage. The real message is to get out there and be part of life. To get out there and express in life. Use the tools and the practices that we have to build your confidence and your courage. To take that next step. I know many of you in the room are doing that. I know a few things about your lives and to know what you're up to and what you're doing, and it's always thrilling to watch you take those first steps into the new and into the expanded and an expansion and do something that's a little scary for you and watch you continue to blossom and grow on that path as you do so. It's an amazing process to watch. And it's an amazing experience to have for those of you who've had it, I know. And have you ever heard a little saying that says, use it or lose it? Sure, we know things atrophy if we don't use them. Our muscles, right? We don't go to the gym. If Craig's decided to stop singing and playing and writing music for 10 years, and he got up to sing, play, or write a song, he might be a little rusty. He might need to play for a while to get the calluses back on his fingers. He might need to do a little more meditation to open up to that flow of the creativity of spirit. He might need to warm up his voice a little longer. A little rusty. Use it or lose it. In the Bible, in Matthew 13:12, the Master Teacher Jesus said, "For to him who has shall be given, and it shall increase to him. But to him who has not, even that which he has shall be taken away." Now that's a hard teaching, isn't it? It's like, what? Brings up our sense of fair play. That's not right. We should balance this out. Why do the haves get more? The have-nots get it taken away. But when we go deeper into that teaching and what he was actually talking about, he was teaching his disciples why he taught in parables. Because they were asking, it's like, why do you teach in parables? Why don't you just tell them what you tell us? And he says, because they can understand it. To those who understand, they get more understanding. To those that don't understand, we spoon feed them little things. That's kind of what he was saying. And what it means is that it is done unto us as we believe. It is done unto us as we believe. If we believe in a place of lack, if we're in this place of lack, we have limited resources, but we believe that that's all that there is, it is done unto us according to that belief. But if we believe in the field of infinite possibilities in which we reside, if we believe in the abundance of the universe, if we believe in the divine that is in, through, and as us as the presence of God, accessible to us, then we step out of that into that greater abundance and receive more. It is done unto us as we believe. And that's a very core teaching of the science of mind. It's a core teaching of Christianity. It's a spiritual truth, a universal truth. So it's up to us, through the use of our choice and imagination, to be a receptive outlet through which spirit can flow, and also to use our we can also use that choice and imagination to limit that, can't we? Works both ways. We can be open and receptive to that, or we can go, no, thank you. The choice is ours. Craig seeks to express spirit through his music. It's one of his channels that he uses to express the divine, that the divine creation comes through him. I use this teaching of the science of mind. I could be teaching from the Bible, I could be teaching from the Bhagavad Gita, I could be teaching from the Quran. But what speaks to me and what speaks to my heart, what resonates with my soul, is this teaching called the science of mind. So that's where I've chosen to stand and share my gifts, share my talents. That's the vehicle through which I allow my talents to flow. So what's your vehicle? We've established you have talents. You have the courage. What's the vehicle through which it's going to flow? Is it some creative activity through your hands? Is it some creative activity through your mind? Some creative activity through your givingness of your spirit? What is the vehicle through which you will share? Williamson says, we are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. That is our mission, should you choose to accept it. So what are your talents and gifts? What is your purpose on planet Earth? And it may not be a great big stage. It may be a really small stage. It may be your home and your family. But if that is your purpose, do it full out. If it's Carnegie Hall, do it full out. Whatever it might be, you're here to express that divine glory of spirit within. So it's our use of the creative process. And in the use of the creative process, one of the important things that you'll hear us say around here is that we must first become that which we seek. Anybody ever heard us say that? Must become what we seek. And basically what that means is that we have to raise our vibration to match that which we are seeking, because if it's not in our life right now, our vibration's not matching. Our vibration's not matching. Remember Einstein's quote, that the problem can't be solved at the same level from which it was created? Remember that? So if we've got something going on here and our thinking is here, and it creates a problem, our thinking is here. We can't solve it from there. We've got to elevate that and get above that level of thinking to come up with a creative solution to be able to solve that. And the same is true within this idea of becoming that which we seek. Because when we become a vibrational match to that which we seek, be it love or career or financial abundance, whatever it might be, when we become a vibrational match to that, then it automatically attracts to us. We're in alignment with it. We're in alignment with it. But what happens frequently? We get hooked in the problem, don't we? We get hooked in the story. You ever caught yourself stuck telling the story over and over, and then you hear yourself telling the story over and over, and you go, that is so boring, I'm tired of hearing it. Anybody ever done that? Yeah. And finally we kind of go, okay, I gotta let that go. I really gotta let that go. And then you catch yourself going into it one more time, and you might go, I don't even want to not change the subject. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that, because that means we're feeding our energy to the problem and keeping it right there. Keeping it right there, holding it right there present for us. And until we can shift that and tell a new story, oh, maybe I had something happen, but guess what? It's all better now, and moving ourselves into that higher vibration of wholeness, of healing, of health, of abundance, of flow, or whatever it might be that we're seeking to get away from that problem. So what are we doing to change our vibration? Are we actively working on that every day around whatever our intention for the year, or whatever thing we might be working on at experiencing more of in our life right now? Are we doing something to raise our vibration, to shift that, to change that, to be that receptacle of that into our lives? You know, right now we could all become receptacles for peace, couldn't we? We could all work on that. You know, that doesn't mean, when I'm talking about these things, it doesn't necessarily mean I want to attract a new car or a new boy into my life. I want peace. I want to attract more peace. I want to be a place of peace. Imagine if we all raise our vibration to be peace, and more people do that, it manifests. It manifests. So that's where the power in our teaching comes from. Sure, the material things are great. We're here to experience all that too. I had a quote last week that I'm going to forget. Something about spirit in the form is nothing without spirit inside, and matter is nothing without spirit. Anyway, it was a good quote. Anybody remember from class? Just totally blew that one. Gone. Anyway. Yeah, we'll get back to that one. Anyway, totally lost my place. Off script. So, totally off script. I found an interesting quote from Ernest Holmes. Let's let Ernest talk for a minute. And he said, "We should withhold every gift unless we wish to make it." Now that seems to be in contradiction to what I'm talking about, doesn't it? We should withhold every gift unless we wish to make it. We can make no bargains with life. And I found that interesting. We can make no bargains with life. What he means, I believe, is that we can't negotiate with the law. Because it doesn't negotiate, does it? It just says yes. It just says yes to whatever we're putting out there. So if we're trying to negotiate something, I'll do this if you'll do that, it's like, as soon as you say I'll do this, it goes done. Oh, well now I've got that, but I wanted that. Well, you didn't say that, you said this. So there's no negotiation. He goes on to say we should give only when the gift and the giver are one and the same thing. That is the idea of becoming that which we seek. Even seek to give. Becoming in oneness with that, when the gift and the giver are the same. So I'm not giving something I don't have. I'm not giving something that's false, right? We're in alignment with who we are and what our gifts are that we're giving. He says if we want to get the most from life, we can only do it as we have first given the most of ourselves. Then the response comes back to us multiplied. I think that's one of his more mystical quotes around that idea of becoming one with that which we receive and one with that which we give. The gift and the giver are one and the same. I am the thing that I seek to experience, whether it's love, whether it's creative expression, abundance, or health. I am that which I seek. So let's explore some ways that we might be able to practice our principles this week and multiply our responses in transformation. Number 1, you've got talent. Everybody does. Our work with the values factor in the past 7 weeks has, and then this is not our social and moral values as much as it is our inherent personal values that we hold, and when we live according to those, we thrive. We see our life thriving. And we can align our actions then more easily when we're focused in our personal values. So if you're seeking to discover what your talent is, and I suspect you all know already, you may not be willing to admit it, but I think you all know. But if not, seek guidance. Seek some guidance. Go to prayer, go to meditation, see a prayer practitioner. That's something they can talk to you about. I don't know what my gifts are. Okay, let's have a session, let's talk about that. Then once we open to that revelation, once we ask, we do receive. It's the way it works. We forget to ask sometimes though, don't we? Number 2, let go of the fear and do it anyway. Let go of the fear and do it anyway, right? As Holmes said, fear blocks the more complete givingness of the Spirit. And what we're really talking about there is faith and trust. Faith and trust. When we can get our fear out of the way, stop playing small, get our fear out. Do you realize what the fear is really saying? No. Fear is really saying no. I'm afraid to open my heart. I'm afraid to change jobs. I'm afraid to step into spirituality. I'm afraid to open that church. I'm afraid to pick up a microphone. All of that is saying no, isn't it? Saying no to those things. And yet faith is the big old fat yes. Because when we have the faith to know that we are supported by a loving universe at all times, we can say yes. And just have the faith, the knowingness deep within us that it's going to work out. Because there is a spiritual truth that when we step in confidently and say yes, that all of the resources of the universe come to support us. Number 3, use it or lose it. Not really. You won't lose your talent. But do remember our principle of becoming that which you seek. Becoming that which you seek. It's really a powerful part of our creative process, is to understand that and to move ourselves to that idea of not seeking something outside of ourselves. I want a thing, but to be that place of receptivity of it, to be that place to receive it, to welcome it, to be a vibrational match to it. See the difference? Yeah, there's a difference. There's a lack when we go, I need that outside of me to come to me. We're coming from a lack position because I don't have it. I need it. As opposed to, I am it. I receive more of it. I'm a match to it. Yeah. And that also means that we can't say we want peace and fight for it. It means that we can't say we want love and then resist it and complain about it when it shows up a way that maybe we weren't expecting. Or that we want a rewarding career but then complain about the one we're in. That's the stuff that gets us sideways and keeps us stuck in that rut. So in closing, I want to leave us today with Holmes' final conclusion from the first part of the textbook. And it's always been a very sweet reading to me, and I thought it fit in here well today. He says, but the practice of truth is personal to each, and in the long run, no one can live our lives for us. To each is given what he needs, and the gifts of heaven come alike to all. How we shall use the gifts is all that matters. To hold one's thoughts steadfastly to the constructive, to that which endures, and to the truth may not be easy in a rapidly changing world. But to the one who makes the attempt, much is guaranteed. And so it is. So thank you for being with us today. If you are with us for the very first time, we hope that you have enjoyed us and will come back and visit with us again. And I'm going to invite everyone now to join me as we anchor this in an affirmative prayer this morning. So how good it is that we come together in spiritual community this day, connecting one in the one as the one, recognizing that that power and presence that holds universes in place, that has created the very atoms and molecules, the air that we breathe, seasons, so infinite that we cannot even begin to get our imagination around what it is. So timeless, so expansive, so creative, so loving. In fact, it is love, it is harmony, it is peace, joy, prosperity. And all of that's here now, present right now in this room, for there's no place that God is not. No place, in any moment, at any time. It's everywhere, always present. And I know that it is in, through, and as me as a manifestation of it, as it is in, through, and as each of us in this room and within the sound of my voice, for we are all manifestations of that one love. So from that place, I speak my word for and about each of us here in this room, each and every person on our planet this day, as we pray to be receivers of peace, of wholeness, to elevate our vibrations into that matching vibration of peace and wholeness that we seek to experience in our own lives, in our communities, and on our planet. And in this moment, I lift anyone into this prayer for comfort and for ease and for healing and for wholeness and for divine action, for prosperity, for wisdom, for whatever the need might be, knowing that all prayers are answered as it is done unto us as we believe. And I believe this day that we are a place of peace, a place of wholeness, and a place of love. And how grateful I am for this knowing. How grateful I am for the manifestation of this prayer, for I know that the word spoken is the word made manifest, made whole in the divine mind of God. So I release this into that activity of law, knowing that all of the forces of the universe come together to make rapid its manifestation. And we affirm and accept this together by saying, and so it is.